Hello everybody. I decided to take a break from making long and complicated 001 videos and instead decided to do something a little more laid back. I wanted to make a video on an SCP that I personally really liked and shouldn't take me more than 3 months to make. Hopefully as we go on you'll understand why I like this article so much. If you watched my previous videos, you'll see that the Foundation contains all kinds of paranormal objects and monsters. The SCPs that stand out are interesting for a variety of reasons. Some are very complicated to contain, some are just very interesting concepts, and some tell a story. This SCP is, well, I don't want to spoil it, so let me just throw you in completely fresh on what this thing is. Okay, so this is listed as item number 4290 and it's obviously something very important. It's only accessible for Foundation personnel at level 5 clearance. It has the object class Akita, disruption class Amida, and risk class critical. If you're confused about what the risk and disruption class are, let me fill you in. A few years ago there were some new features added to articles to better flesh them out. That being the disruption class and risk class. Disruption means how much the entity would affect the normalcy of the outside world if that SCP got out and became public knowledge. How much the world would change if this thing was well known. Risk is more about the danger the SCP potentially possesses. Sure, Keter class objects tend to be dangerous, but Keter is a catch-all term for how easy or hard something is to contain, not necessarily how dangerous it is. So yes, you can have a hard to contain but non-dangerous SCP, or an easy to contain but super dangerous SCP. So we have an SCP item that's only accessible to people with the highest clearance and is considered extremely dangerous and hard to contain. Don't worry, the Foundation gets like 10 of these a week. So what is it? Okay, SCP-4290 is a world-ending entity that was magically sealed away in a lake approximately 10,000 years ago. And it's expected to escape in the next few days. Well, this is a certifiable bruh moment right here. The Foundation is planning to meet this creature head-on and is preparing to attack when the day comes. The vanguards of the attack are Mobile Task Force Alpha-1, codenamed Red Right Hand, who are usually the personal guard of the O5 Council. Mobile Task Force Tau-5, codenamed Samsara, who are a squad of 4 super cyborg assassins that the Foundation only uses for the most dangerous operations. And MTF Nu-7, codenamed Hammerdown, a battalion-sized army that's usually meant to deal with enemies of a significant number or strength. These guys are far from the only ones there to the party. The Foundation is rallying every military asset they have to the site where SCP-4290 is set to spawn. In addition, any Foundation soldiers or squad that is on standby or is assigned to a non-essential position is being pulled to head to the 4290 site. And that's just the first line of defense. If 4290 breaches containment, there's a grid of nuclear mines ready for destination, and if that fails, there's an orbital strike waiting. If all that fails, Foundation are preparing bunkers to house civilians and survivors in the wake of the attack. Wow, they really aren't taking this lying down. What do you think this thing is that's so dangerous? Not much is known about what 4290 actually is or what it looks like. All they know is that anyone who's ever encountered it is extremely terrified of it. Like the document said, it was sealed away 10,000 years ago, and every few thousand years some ancient civilization or another has been able to repair and reinforce the sealed when they need to. The Foundation learned of 4290 when there was a sudden broadcast by a strange entity on any television in the nearby area. It warned anyone listening that the lock will need to be repaired. Investigation by the Foundation led them to finding the lake 4290 was sealed away in, as well as some bronze totem poles at the bottom of the lake that occasionally released blasts of red light. The Foundation's occult division was able to figure out how to repair the spell and sent in some remote-controlled underwater drones to carve new runes into the totems and perform a ritual. Whilst they were doing this, a blast of red light damaged one of the drones, causing it to actually break one of the existing ones. Bugger. Soon after, another broadcast was made by the same entity warning people to brace themselves. If that isn't enough to communicate how absolutely we are, a few days before the seals were scheduled to break, some Foundation agents disappeared, and it was detected that a portal to another dimension was briefly opened. The next addendum says that seismometers have detected something happening to the lock totems and that 4290 is about to break out. All personnel are advised to stand by for further instructions. There's one last update left detailing what happened next. The totems disintegrated and a huge humanoid creature materialized in the lake. Everyone was locked and loaded, but the thing didn't move. Eventually someone gets closer and scanned it, and found out the thing was dead. To add insult to injury, it's been dead for f***ing eons, starving to death in its cage. SCP-4290 was reclassified as neutralized, and everyone goes home with blue balls. So that was SCP-4290. There are tons of super dangerous world-ending creatures in the SCP universe that you really have to do something special if you want them to stand out. And this I find this one hilarious. It's not every day that the Foundation gets spooked, and it's also not every day that the problem solves itself so neatly.